Hello, everyone. For people that don't know me, I am a recovering alcoholic and a recovering meth addict from 17 years of using. And I got into recovery a little while ago now, 2019 actually. And, I've had many attempts to stop using. But I'd normally go about 6 months and, do really well in that. But 6 months would come and I would kind of go back to it. I didn't really know that I was an addict or I had a problem until I actually tried to stop completely. And that's when things come to me that, okay, I'm an addict. Never been into rehabs or anything like that. Never been to any meetings. Just 2019 in March, because I've grown up with very heartless. I've never lost anyone close to me, and anyone that I had lost, I would never cry as well. The only time I really cried was when my mum's mum passed away, and I saw my mum cry. I did hold back tears then, but before then, I didn't really show many emotions. I was pretty much a dead soul all my life. So so 2019, sorry, I got a message. 2019, I was saying my goodbyes. There's a couple of attempts of ending my life throughout this addiction that I was going through. But 2019, my mate killed himself, and took another suicide to save another suicide. So I don't know what happened that day, but something changed in me, and I did get the vision. And later on down the track, I found out, I think, is that I never mourned for my father when he left me when I was really young. So I kind of looked at this as, or felt maybe this was, my father, and I got to mourn over a death, But I also saw a vision of myself in a casket with my son there and how it felt. So this hit me hard enough the way it did, then imagine how my son would feel. So I kind of, grabbed that and I ran with it. So I stopped using that day. I spent about 8 months at home. I couldn't leave the house. I started to get really bad emotions. My anxiety got out of control, and I had a fear of the world. I was very fearful of the world. When I used to use or drink, I could do anything. I was really happy and run amok. But when I got clean, there was nothing to mask it. So I didn't know how to leave the house. I didn't know how to cope without using, with the way I felt and the emotions that were coming to the top, and I was like, fuck, this is really hard. So I think I'd done about 8 months, and I built a garden outside my mum's house as well, and I put a thing up so no one could see in, and I started to meditate up there as well. And then one of the things I picked up in my recovery that had helped me a lot is meditation, and it took a while, and I used meditation for so many reasons, and the day I started is the day I didn't stop. So that was really good, right? 8 months, I just thought, this is really bad. Like I can't function. Like this is something's wrong with me. So I did attend drug and alcohol counselling, which went well, but I wasn't ready to open up, and it was extremely hard to go there and talk to someone when I've never ever opened up to anyone. I've never let anyone in my walls. I've got these walls up, whether it be family, relationships, friends, whatever. I've always walked away from every human that I met, and not knowing why this was happening, but that's something I used to do. So I got into that 8 months, and then I thought, when I was 1 year, 5 months, I knew I had to work, because everyone has to work to pay bills, and and I don't want to stay at home all the time, because I had relapsed as well, and in isolation breeds addiction as well. So I got my very first job in recovery. Now I've got recovery jobs before, but I always get to work, and about 5 months into working, I would lose it and go back to the drugs, because I get this thing where I have an out-of-body experience where I'm no longer connected to my body, and I'm outside my body, and I can see myself, and I'm kind of like, a puppet and something's controlling it. And this feeling that I used to get a lot would take me back to the drugs. So, when I got this first job, I had to get past all these things that I used to experience before so I wouldn't relapse, and I could understand myself, my mental issues, and all the stuff that I was experiencing that I did not know to get past. So I did really well in this job, and I went over a year into this job, and I had one relapse while working, which is better and good because I went back to work and I kept going, because I really wanted recovery. I didn't want to be an alcoholic. I didn't want to keep using because, there's no happiness in it. It was like I've lived without a soul all my life, and it really just grabbed me, and I was dead, so I worked there, and then my recovery, I started, and I went 1 year, and I relapsed 3 days later, and I was really strong. I said, I made it a year. Oh my God, never done this before. I've got this. This is amazing. Yeah. And then 1 year, 3 days, and then I relapsed. And then I was like so upset. So I went at it again, and I made it 8 months this time. And I knew if I don't get past this year again, I haven't got a chance. So when I was 8 months, I relapsed, and I said to myself, if I can make it a year again, I can fucking beat this addiction. If I can just get that 1 year again, so I went to go again, and I fucking made it to a year, and I knew I have a chance now. I have a chance in recovery. It's so important, and all that building and all that recovering and all that just self-discovery and really understanding what takes me back to using, what takes me back to that drinking when I have relapsed previously, so I got a year in, and I was like, holy shit. And then the next year I'm going on 2 years in January. I found it a lot harder because I had to face all the emotions and really sit down and start to work out my mental health, because this whole time I've been getting knocked down with mental health, and just not understanding me, was a big issue, and I've ran with my recovery from day one, and I've kept busy because any chance I get alone will help my mind convince me that I'm going to use or I want to use, so I kept really, really busy, and this year has been incredible. This one has been incredible. It's been tough. I went for a stage there where I was craving drink like for a whole 2 months. I thought maybe I should just throw it in and start again, but I didn't. I kept going. And now I'm 1 year, 9 months, and I'm not far off being 2 years. I used to see people that have 2 years and think, fuck, 20 years, fuck, how do they do it? I feel so jealous of them because, it took me so long to get a hold of it. Now, I still crave, I still want it, and I think to myself, maybe, can I drink 1 day a year, like maybe on New Year's? And my brain's like, yeah, you can. But I know that I can't, and that's what happens, so with my recovery, I'm not a people person, so going to meetings has never worked for me. I'm not religious, and I hate religion, and anyone that comes at me with religious stuff, I don't want a part of it. I'm self-discovery. I found my own self through my own healing, from my own observing myself, my mental health, and understanding and finding out myself through the internet what I have. Do I have OCD and all this kind of stuff? So I did a lot of research on myself going through the internet, and just writing in a book. I started a book. It's like a scrapping book, and I started that with my recovery as well. So I've done that, and that's helped me understand my triggers, understand why I go back, understand heaps of stuff. Meditation has been a big thing to me as well, and I do affirmations every morning, and I've started fitness. Now, I've got fitness in and out of this recovery, but I've never stood with the fitness and made it a complete routine every single day for more than 6 months. So at the moment I'm doing fitness. This is my 40th day of fitness, and I'm also doing fasting, because fasting strengthens the mind, and I'm not using food to address my anxiety or to help my anxiety, or when I'm going out into the world I'm not eating to keep myself calm because I've got social phobia or anything like that. So I'm facing everything with full on force and understanding, and just being very kind to myself, and just saying like, I'm okay, I can get through this, and just the biggest thing was to set on a self journey with myself, to find myself, and I found my soul, and it's the biggest thing I've ever done, and I fucking love it. So I was addict. I created that throughout my recovery, and I wanted to have something of my own. I wanted to own something of my own, and that's where that name come up. And I was a addict, you know, so I'm not an addict anymore, but that's the key part was, you know, I was that, you know, so it's amazing. Recovery is possible, guys. It's about learning and growing and just really figuring out you know, facing that trauma, you know, facing what you're feeling. It takes time, you know, and there's things that you can do to help yourself get through, whether it be meetings, whether it be counselling or whatever. And I didn't counsel for a long time. Only this year I started counselling. That's the first time I've actually felt that I'm ready to get counselling, which counselling doesn't really help because I know everything anyway. I meditate, I do everything that they say already, but the side of my suicide thoughts were very active and very a part of me all the time. But one thing that she did point out is that that's a part of me. You know, I can't get rid of my dark thoughts, but I can definitely accept it and grow from it and understand it, that it's okay. I get in those dark thoughts, but when I come out of that, I'm going to be even better if I stick to my routine and really be strong and really just nurture that brokenness when I'm in that pit, you know. So anyway, guys, was an addict here. I am all platforms, so if you want to look me on Facebook or whatever else, you can find me on there. I share my story in any thing to help someone that may be going through the same thing, and I'm very isolated, so this is how I've done it. So anyone that feels alone and thinks that they can't do it, you know, I did it. I'm an isolated person. I did it, you know. So, and I give things out on my page of what I've done, and people can just take it in and try it, you know. You got to try everything to make it in your recovery, and that's what I did. I tried everything that someone told me to do. I gave it a go because I knew one day one of those things would save me, you know. So I love you guys. Thanks for listening.